Hey, this is Joy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I've got a quick card from Makerforte that I'm going to share. This is a rather quick video. I am using the Zodiac Calendar stamp from Makerforte, as well as the Rah Skirt, Pop Art, Acid Wash, Purple Rain, and a few other inks to create a background. So I started out with the idea of doing a horizontal blend of these neon color inks, but I quickly changed that so that it would be a more sporadic galaxy background for this Zodiac calendar. So I start off with Purple Rain, and I blend that, and I try to put each of the inks in 3 different places, and most of the time I try to overlap those. And I do use my dome foam blenders for this, just because they put down more ink than the brushes. Next, I'm coming in with Rah Skirt, which is a neon pink. And again, I'm just trying to connect each of these colors in at least 3 places. And I love the way that these blend. I actually think the Rah Skirt makes the purple like a really cool pastel purple. But we're not going to stick with that. We're going to keep going to make this like a night sky. Next, I bring in Pop Art, and this is a nice turquoise color, and it blends really well. Now typically a green and a purple do not mix well, and you would end up with mud. Because this turquoise color has a lot of blue in it versus more green, it's going to play nice. And you have to remember, these inks tend to push each other around. I don't know what that property technically is called, but these neon inks sort of push the inks. So the ones that don't want to blend as well, they push the other one out, which I like that property for this card. And I think this ends up turning out really cool. Looking at the video right now, it almost looks like cotton candy. Wouldn't that be a fun summer card to make? But we're not doing that. Now we're bringing in Acid Wash, which is a nice electric blue. And I do ink these up pretty well. These are new foam applicators, so I made sure to get a lot of ink in there to saturate so that I got a quicker blend. However, I always go back and blend my inks at least 2 to 3 times just to get great blends. It doesn't quite matter so much with this project because I'm going to come in with black to make a night sky, but I always stick to my steps like that. It's always redundant. I always do 2 blends. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of information about Makerforte. We are still currently in Inktober, so that's 31 days of everything you want to know about ink, and you can find that on the Hedgehog Hollow channel. And that runs through the 31st. However, you can always go back and watch them. They'll be under the playlist if for some reason you're not listening to this in October of 2022. Then there's going to be a Foiling Friday coming up. I'm not sure what that date is. I will link that in the description box below because I'm not aware. I don't know what that date is. We're also on October 29th through 30th having the Crafter Party virtual retreat that you can sign up for, and there's a box that goes along with that if you want to purchase that, and I'll link that below as well. And finally, on November 13th, we've got a Christmas card making virtual retreat, which is absolutely free, where Alex is going to be making tons of Christmas cards. It sounds like it's going to be a blast. And again, I will have that linked in the description box below if you are interested. You're going to see that I am still blending on the screen all the different colors. This is my second time going back through. I left all of this in real time so that you could see the process. I do love this blend. And then now comes the scary part. I always say that there's a scary part in the card making process. I am coming in with Eclipse Black ink, and I am sloppily applying this along the perimeters and kind of encroaching onto the center. I am making sure to get a pretty blotchy blend. That is done intentionally because I am going, well, it's because I want the other colors to blend, to pop through so that we've got some dimension in our sky. I do add water with my distress sprayer. Now you need to remember that the neon inks are not water reactive, so the only thing that's reacting right now is the Eclipse Black. I come back through and I blend some of the acid wash over some of those spotted areas, like the water reaction where that took place. And I'm doing that because I'm trying to get dimension in my sky. And I love the way that this is coming out. Now, right now, the sky itself looks pretty pastel, and we are going to fix that here in just a minute. But I wanted you to be aware that this is one of those processes that it's kind of scary, or it looks like it's a hot mess until it isn't. And I think I say this with every video, you've got to keep going until you get the look that you want, and not to be fearful. It's just paper, it's just ink, and that's what we do here. Now we're bringing in the acid wash, and do you see how those pops of green are really showing up on the Eclipse Black ink? Here's the scarier part. We're bringing in Coronation Purple, which is a super dark purple. And the reason I bring in the purple is I want the dimension and the darkness of the sky without having to have a completely black background. So these neon inks still pop through a little bit on this ink. I want most of the color of the neon inks to pop through the center. So I don't really apply the Coronation ink into the center. I leave an open oval, and that's because I am going to stamp the Zodiac Calendar on top of it, and I want those colors to pop through the calendar. I am finishing off my ink blending with Eclipse Black, and I am doing that on the outer edges of the panel. I forgot to mention this is a 5x7 panel because the Zodiac Calendar fits best on at least a 5-inch wide panel. Otherwise, you would cut some of it off. Now, if that is a look that you like, or if you want it to be off-center, by all means, stamp it on an A2 size. I did use my heated tool to dry this. I blended this on Bristol Smooth cardstock because it takes water well. I made sure to dry it because now I am embossing the Zodiac Calendar. I make sure to get a really good coating of embossing ink, but you're going to see I have to come back and do it again. Using fine detail white embossing powder, I melt this, and it really does. It was not as bright and vibrant as I like. So off camera, I stamped it a second time by putting it back in my Misty. And I used the same embossing powder. And now you're going to see how this thing just shines off the paper. And that's exactly what I wanted. I make sure to keep my gun moving so that I don't get any more warping. If you do have warping, you can run your panel through a die cutting machine, obviously without a die, but between the plates, and that should straighten it. I am also using an acetate sheet that's got a grid printed on it, and I'm testing to see if my sentiment is straight. And I'm just using the Coronation Purple to do that because it'll show up on that. And I'm stamping that straight down onto the acetate. And then, because you can't see through the rubber stamp like you can with photopolymer. Once I was happy with that, I used the embossing glue again, applied the white powder to it, and I embossed this. I think it turned out really cool. I think the acetate grid is a must-have for your stash. If you don't have one, I will see where I can find one available and link it in the description box below. Finally, I am using whatever ink is left on my black blender, And I'm going over that. Now you're going to see that I am going over some of the white embossing, and that's fine because at the end I use a dry baby wipe to buff off the excess ink, and it comes right back to being white. I just love the fact that you can do the emboss resist and get the perfect result every time. Using wet glue, I apply this to the Eclipse Black cardstock, and that measures 10 by 7 scored at 5 to create a 5 by 7 card. And I didn't use any adhesive to pop it up or anything else. This is a flat card, and I do use my ink smushing tool to smooth out the glue and get the perfect adhesion. That's just a little trick that I have learned along the way. And then finally I bring in some of the crown jewels, and I put one in the center of the calendar, and then I sporadically apply those. So if you have stuck with me this far, I would truly love it if you would consider subscribing, leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up. All of those things make my channel seen more in the YouTube algorithm, and I am trying to grow my channel, but most of all, I love sharing what I do with you guys. I love your feedback. I love the sense of community. So please consider sticking around for all of my inky antics, and thank you. Like I said, I can't thank you enough for being with me. So here are the final looks at my cards. I should say carda, not cards, plural. And until next time, friends, keep crafting. Bye-bye. Be blessed.